Yeah. Is everybody ready? Okay. All right. Good afternoon. I'm Eric Hurst, Public Information Officer with South Metro Fire Rescue. Earlier this afternoon, we had a severe thunderstorm come through South Metro's district, kind of working its way from the west side southwest through Highlands Ranch. Around the time that thunderstorm got to Chatfield State Park, we received calls of people struck by hail who had called 911 for medical assistance. Thankfully, so far in this storm, that's the only storm-related injuries that we have heard about. As the storm progressed into Highlands Ranch, we were notified that there was a tornado warning from the National Weather Service, and then we received reports of a confirmed tornado on the ground. That confirmation was from a storm chaser in the area who saw that tornado. Shortly after that report, South Metro Fire Rescue and Douglas County Sheriff's Office started receiving multiple reports of damage in the area here in Highlands Ranch, as well as some vehicle accidents, some electrical problems, buildings hit by lightning, buildings with their fire alarms going off, and it was 116 calls for help between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., most of those centered here in Highlands Ranch. South Metro firefighters were prioritizing those calls with our dispatchers in order of their severity. So starting with the most life-threatening and property-threatening calls first, working our way down into the least priority calls, things like trees just laying in yards with no reports of anyone injured or no utility hazards. So as firefighters responded out, along with our partners at Douglas County Sheriff's Office, they found a lot of different things. So dark intersections that were needing to be treated as four-way stops, flooded intersections, down fences, down trees, as well as roof damage to a number of buildings, including South Metro Fire Rescue Station 17, which is behind me. The firefighters assigned to this station were already responding to emergencies when the damage occurred here, so they were not here at the time that this happened. Things that our firefighters have been responding to, again, kind of include people thinking that their homes or businesses were struck by lightning, smoke conditions inside of some of those buildings, fire alarm activations, natural gas leaks, electrical problems, and trees that are laying on top of houses. Through all of those events, we haven't found what we would describe as significant structural damage, nothing that has required our technical rescue team to do any kind of shoring on structures or make sure that the structure is okay. And once again, thankfully, we haven't encountered any other storm-related injuries here in the Highlands Ranch area. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deborah Takahara, Public Information Officer with Douglas County Sheriff's Office. She can talk more about what the Sheriff's Office is doing now and talk about the drive home, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions that you all have after that.
Can you repeat your name?
Eric Hurst, Public Information Officer with South Metro Fire Rescue.
That's CK or just C?
ERICHURST.
Good evening, my name is Deborah Takahara. I'm the Public Information Director for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. My name is spelled D-E-B-O-R-A-H. Last name is Takahara, T-A-K-A-H-A-R-A. About 3:30 this afternoon, we started receiving reports of heavy rain and wind in this area and some hail. So far, we have received 282 reports to our dispatch center of people reporting various types of damage to their neighborhoods. Our deputies are out right now surveying the damage and trying to help residents the best that we can. The most damage that we have seen are trees down across roads, trees down into homes, and some roofs damaged, some homes damaged, some structures damaged as well. Our Office of Emergency Management has activated our Emergency Operations Center, and they are standing by to take calls and help the community the best that we can. We are the storm has moved out, and we're in the recovery and cleanup efforts right now, and that is obviously going to take some time. You can see the damage stretches for about a 3-mile stretch, all the way from West Highlands Ranch to the Lone Tree area. And what we really need people to do right now is to stay off the roads. You see that traffic signals are down, traffic lights are not working properly, and a lot of traffic in this area. So we'd really like people to stay off the roads and let emergency service vehicles get where they need to go. And also, if you have a non-emergency type of situation that you'd like to report, you can do that to our non-emergency line at 303-660-7500. Obviously, we don't want you to call 911 unless it is a true emergency. We do have our emergency services unit, a portion of the Office of Emergency Management. That team is out with chainsaws right now trying to help residents clear some of the trees that are blocking the roadways, and again to help our emergency service vehicles be able to get where they need to go. We're available for questions if you have any.
Which area are you focusing on as far as probably one of the worst, where the concentration of damage is within that 3-mile area?
I think this area right around here is very heavily damaged, and pretty much the epicenter of what I've seen from the tours that we've been on. And maybe Eric, you can talk a little bit more about the damage that you've seen as well.
Sure, yeah. As Deborah said, I think the area where we're at right now saw most of the worst damage, and then traveling west from here towards Broadway on the north side of Highlands Branch Parkway as well as the south, we have very large trees that were knocked down, some into houses as well as some light poles down, and some minor roof damage there as well.
You mentioned you had about 282 reports on various damages, but do you have a number of how many people were injured or taken to the hospital?
Fortunately, right now we don't have any reports of anyone being injured, which is truly a fortunate situation.
Your dispatch center took 200 and some odd calls, and you talked about 116 calls. Should we assume some of those are the same, or are these two different? Okay.
I think there is some crossover. We're getting anything from traffic-related calls to trees blocking roadways, and then you've probably seen some structural calls as well from the fire department.
Okay, so somewhere in the middle of that is probably our true number. Okay. Does Douglas County have sirens? Radio sirens, and if so, do they go off?
I don't know the answer to that, but we don't have sirens. We don't have sirens.
People should not drive. People should not drive the streets. But is there anything else we should do for safety information? You've got a tree kind of leaning on your house. You've got a situation maybe where a tree hit a car and you smell something funny. What's the general rule of thumb when dealing with these situations safety-wise?
I would say to stay away from anything that you believe is dangerous and call for help if you need it. And maybe Eric can add to that.
Sure. Yeah, things that we will want property owners or occupants of homes to take a look at once they get home is take a good look around their house. Before you walk under any trees, check them for damage. Just because a tree has been damaged doesn't mean it'll necessarily be laying down. So we're always concerned about tree branches falling and striking someone. So don't just walk around your house haphazardly. Really go slow, look up, look down, and all around for trip hazards or anything hazardous that might be above you or below you before walking around the house. We want people to be smelling for natural gas. It's a possibility that their natural gas meter could have been damaged. And if they do smell natural gas, that is certainly a call that can be made to 911. The fire department will come and do their best to secure that until Xcel Energy arrives. Along the lines of electrical hazards, if anybody sees sparking, if they see smoke or hear popping noises from their electrical box, that's an emergency as well. Please call 911 for that. The firefighters will come and make sure that the house is secure until Xcel Energy can arrive. And beyond that, if you're experiencing a lot of tree damage, if it's on your private property, that's the responsibility of you or your insurance company, and so you'll need to call an arborist to take care of those things. The fire department and the county, we will only be handling emergency situations that have to do with life hazard. So just for tree damage on property, an arborist is the right person to call for that.
I'm not sure if you can answer this, but as far as electricity, is there a percentage of if an area had an outage, what percentage of that area, what area was without electricity and for how long?
I haven't spoken with Xcel Energy to know how large the power outages are. However, I think they're very isolated. All of the main power lines that supply the homes in this area they're underground power lines. So we didn't see a number of calls regarding power lines down. We just don't have overhead power lines in this area. So most of what I've seen has been isolated to single intersections or probably isolated to houses that experience damage to their electrical boxes.
Is any of the damage to the fire station things will cause hiccups to operations going forward?
From what we can tell, the damage to the fire station won't affect our operations. It looks like our crews will be able to stay here tonight. I've just been hearing their station alerting going off for emergency calls. The inside of the station is intact, and I didn't see any water damage in there. So I think most of what we see, thankfully, is just cosmetic, and our firefighters will still be here responding to calls.
Did you have portions of the roof that came off, or was it like hail damage? Like what was the actual damage to the roof?
I'm not sure exactly what caused the damage behind me. I venture to guess it was wind damage. Now, whether that was straight line wind damage or tornado damage, I can't say. Any other questions that we can answer?
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you for your time.